Hey, what is going on, everyone? This is Mohammed, your personal PMP coach from Certified with Ease, coming back to you guys with another brand new video. In this video, we are going to focus on domain specific questions. Now, a lot of you guys, maybe you've taken the exam before, you get the report back, and unfortunately, you fail. And the PMP says, hey, listen, you need to work more on your people domain or your process domain or your business domain. We added this section because of that, because people want to refine specific domains. You could have excelled and maybe you passed and you did excellent in the other domains, but maybe you failed in the people domain. And that's exactly what we want to focus on in this video. Okay. So on your screen, guys, or on my screen, on your screen as well, because you're watching this video, we have our PMP accelerator course. It has been updated to reflect the most recent exams and prepare you for those exams. It's not outdated. We've just updated it, December 19 over here, right? So book a call. Join the program if you see that it's something that will benefit you. The link is going to be included, but just to give you a quick summary, key concepts, we talk about the most important topics, not a whole bunch of things that you don't need, okay? Common PMP exam scenarios, so you have an understanding of the most common scenarios that you will face on the exam. PMP mindset, so not only do we have our principles, like you all know, but we also have a PMP mindset training. You have foundational questions that cover every single topic you can expect on the exam with a answer breakdown. You have cheat sheet terms for the most important terminology on the exam. You also have the non-timed exam simulator, so you can prepare without the stress of the timer and the timed exam simulator. And then you got your PMP domain specific questions. You got some live session recordings as well. Okay. So that being said, enough talking. Let us jump into the questions. And now, obviously, there's too many questions. We're not going to solve everything, but we're going to start. And 47 is a good question. I looked at it beforehand. We're going to solve this together. Okay. So you guys try it. Of course, pause the video, try to solve it, and follow the 3 steps, right? Number 1, frame the problem. Number 2, eliminate the answers that contradict the problem statement or our principles. Number 3, choose the best answer that completely solves the problem. Okay. The PMP exam is a reading exam, guys. It's a reading exam. Read carefully. So, the rollout of a new finance system is in execution phase. A number of issues have surfaced in the last month that are slowing the project down. A new project sponsor has recently started with the company but has not had time to meet the project manager. The project is at the point where the issues are significantly impacting delivery of the project. How should the PM alert the new project sponsor about these concerns? Okay, so the problem statement is pretty simple. And I think we solved this question before in another video, but anyways, it's still good practice. When you read this question, let's break it down. The rollout of a new finance system, not important. The number of issues have surfaced in the last month and are slowing the project down. Okay, now that is important information. We have a delay. Things are being slowed down. Now we need to figure out a way to communicate this information to the project sponsor. That is our problem statement. How do we go about doing that now? Okay, so you see how we break down the problem statement? We focus on the core. They mentioned slowing down. We know it's a delay. Done. We keep reading it, and the project manager has to inform the project sponsor. How should the PM do that now? Okay, so here's the thing, guys. They have started to change the questions a bit. If you watch my old videos, I'm sorry, I keep going on a tangent, but I just want you guys to prepare for the exam as much as possible. They're shifting away from what should the project manager do next, do first. Most questions are like that, but there are some other questions like this as well. The principles still apply, but they are changing the questions out a little bit, okay? So, A, complete a risk analysis outlining delays and impacts and email a copy of the risk register urging the project sponsor to respond. Now, this is going to be a new addition to our principles, okay? When it comes to communication, the best way to communicate is directly. If you send an email, you don't know if they're going to actually open and read it. The assumption is they are, but if you have a face-to-face meeting, there's no assumption anymore. It is guaranteed. right? So let's look at. So I'm not going to choose this answer because of that. Let's see what else there is. Continue emailing Continue emailing updated project status reports, highlighting the key risks and issues, and wait for the project sponsor to request a meeting. No, again, email. We don't want to do that. We want to take the proactive step. We want to make sure, right? We want to make sure. Pretend you got to go to the hospital. What are you going to do? What are you gonna you're gonna call the clinic, or you're gonna actually show up in person, right? We want to do the same thing. Send an email invitation to a project sponsor to attend all of the project team's weekly meetings and hope the sponsor will find time to attend, right? So we know the sponsor is really busy because he had no time, or has not had the time. So again, send an email invitation. This is something that is very, very important. We need a response now. Send an email to the project sponsor summarizing the project status and key concerns. Great. And request an immediate face-to-face meeting to discuss with them. Excellent. Right? We're using the email for information, and we're saying, hey, listen, we gotta meet in person. That is what you want. A face-to-face meeting, guys, always beats emails. If your team is remote, remember, remote teams, you can still meet face-to-face on Zoom, on Google Meets, whatever it may be, right? So the answer is going to be D in 47. Awesome. All right, question 50. So a company is implementing a new system. Okay, not important information. It's just setting up the situation. The PM has identified that the PO, the product owner, is confused as to how to start delivering the functionalities required. The product is best to complete this project using a mix of Scrum and Kanban methodologies. How should the project manager assist the product owner? Okay. So the PO is confused, doesn't know how to start delivering functionalities, which is kind of weird, you're a PO. But, anyways, the PM needs to step in now and needs to help the product owner. Now, the reason why we want to help the product owner is because we are a servant leader. We want to coach, we want to help our team. We don't want to do things for them. We don't want to kick them off the team, boot them off. We don't want to replace them. Discuss the product owner's responsibility within the project team. Within the project team, I don't know why. If it was with the product owner, that would be better. Encourage the team to subdivide the project tasks. So we talked about this. We don't want to do this. We don't want to take this person's task and give it to other people. And this goes against one of our principles, which is the team member's capacity. Never mess around with that. Let them work on the project. Create a work breakdown structure and explain the deliverables to the product owner. Okay, so here's the thing, guys. We, as a servant leader, like I mentioned, we want our team members, including the product owner, to be autonomous. We want to push them and direct them in the right direction. We don't want to explain the deliverables to the product owner. Product owner, that is your responsibility to tell us that, hey, the deliverables for this sprint is going to be this, that, and the third. Coach the product owner. Okay, I like the word coach, on how to create a product backlog. Okay. So this is kind of weird because the product owner should know how to create a product backlog, but this is the best answer thus far. Why? Because we're coaching the product owner. We're not telling the product owner. We're not replacing the product owner. We're coaching the product owner. And the product backlog is going to be the right tool because we need to deliver the functionalities required. And every sprint, right, we have a sprint backlog, which is from the product backlog. Okay. Awesome. Let's move on to 51. The project team follows a hybrid framework for its delivery. Okay, so this is an example of a question where there's a piece of information that is potentially important. Hybrid. Okay, so you want to highlight that. You want to note that down. Apparently, now you can highlight things in the PMP exam. So you can highlight that or note it down in your mind. During the execution of a project, the team learns of a new compliance requirement that has to be delivered before any other requirement. How should the PM address this situation? Okay, so what's the problem statement? We have a compliance requirement. Now, if you know anything about compliance or legal requirements. We can't ignore it. We need to address it immediately. A compliance issue or a legal issue is enough to literally rearrange an entire sprint that is active. It's enough. So let's say you're working on a sprint and the government comes up with a new law. It's enough for the product owner and the project manager to say, you know what, we got to stop what we're doing right now and focus on this compliance. Okay. That's one of the scenarios where your product backlog gets reprioritized during an actual sprint. Okay. And for all the students that are taking this course, I explained that in the agile development cycle section over here. Remember, guys, this is extremely important. Okay, so don't miss that. Very, very important. Anyways, sorry for that. I just got to remind my students because I know they watch the videos too. Okay, so we got to address this compliance issue. What should we do about it? So include the compliance lead in the stakeholders list and wait for the next status meeting. We don't want to wait. We don't want to postpone this. That's principle number 2, gone. Add the new compliance requirement to the backlog as the technical team does not have any capacity. It will be added to the backlog. That's good. But we don't care if the team doesn't have capacity. We need to make capacity for this. It's the law. It's a compliance issue. Ask the team to include the compliance requirement in the current sprint and deliver it. Interesting. That's what we like. That's what we want. Collaborate with the compliance team member to review and prioritize the requirements delivery. Okay. Now, there's a fundamental rule, guys. Both C and D are good answers. C is much clearer. C is saying, hey, just deliver it. That's what we want. But when you have a situation where you're left with 2 answers, and one of the 2 answers is principle number 1, in this case, collaborating and reviewing, you always want to do that first. Note this down in your notebooks. So we teach our students all the time, when you are left with 2 good answers, principle number 1 comes first. Principle number 1 comes first anyways, but I'm just saying, when you're left with 2 good answers, ask yourself, which one would I do first? So the best answer here, guys, is going to be D. That's the answer here. Okay, let me just see. Keep forgetting I have the answer tabs. Yeah, D. All right, so 53. Okay, so a technical subject matter expert, SME, identifies an occurrence that should be captured in the project's lessons learned. The SME asks the project manager write, document, and include it in the lessons learned register. What should the project manager do? This is an example of a question where it's pretty straightforward, right? We don't need, like in this lesson, we don't, like subject matter expert or not, it doesn't matter. What we simply want to do is we want to take a lesson and document it in the lessons learned register. What should the project manager do? Ask the SME to document and capture the occurrence. Okay. Request the SME to wait until the project closure phase. No need to wait. When we learn a lesson, we can put it immediately in the lesson learned register. If we don't, then we have a whole bunch of lessons just that need to be put in the register at the end. We might forget. Take ownership of documenting this information. Assign the documenting task to a project team member. So none of our principles are being contradictory. Maybe B a little bit. It's not really a delay, but it could be considered as one. B is not going to be the answer. None of our principles are being contradicted here. A technical subject matter expert. I take it back. This is going to be important. Technical subject matter expert identifies an occurrence that should be captured in the project's lessons learned. Whether it's a subject matter expert or a team member, updating lessons learned is a group effort. Whoever has a lesson needs to own it, needs to put it in the lessons learned register. And the reason why the technical SME is going to be very critical here is because this person is an SME. This person knows more about this particular lesson more than anyone else. So it makes sense to force, I mean, not force, but to make sense to tell or to encourage the SME to put it in the lessons learned register. Okay. A is going to be the best answer. There you go. All right. SMEs are, you can think of them as your team members, but on steroids. They're amazing. They know everything about a particular topic. Okay. Let's do one more question when it comes to people domain. We'll move on to the other domains just so you have an idea what's going on. But you see, people domain obviously has a lot to do with people. How do you deal with people, right? Oh, there's always either the sponsor, the team members, the SME. There's always another character involved in the situation. All right, so in a software development project, the product owner and development team agree on a sprint backlog. The highest priority in the backlog is to build a payment module. The team worked on the module during the first half of the sprint, but now two developers want to spend the rest of the sprint focusing on refactoring another feature that might create issues in the future. What should the project manager do? Now that's a mouthful of a question, guys. But you gotta process that information and chat GPT it in your head so you understand it. What's simply happening is that there's a disagreement. There's a disagreement. That is it. Okay? There's a disagreement between some of our team members. You got the team working on the module, but now two developers want to spend the rest of the sprint focused on refactoring. I don't know. I don't even know what refactoring is. Okay? But I understand that there's a disagreement. So escalate the issue to developers' functional managers. We never escalate. Principle number 8. Praise the developers for their proactivity and focus on quality. It doesn't solve the core problem, right? Let the developers focus on refactoring work and discuss it in the retrospective. Mm. Restate to the developers the importance of focusing and meeting the sprint goal. That's a good answer. The team is working on the module. They're working on the sprint. Two developers want to spend the rest of the sprint focusing on refactoring. All right. So we can assume the team is actually working on the sprint and developers want to kind of shift away from the sprint. The best answer here is going to be D. Excellent. So there's a lot of questions in this section, so we're not going to finish everything. Let me go back. Yeah, we're still in the process of renumbering some of these. So process domain. Let's check out some questions over here. Let it load. Again, there's a lot. And let's see if we did question one. I think we did question one already. Yeah, I think we did question one in a previous video. So I'm going to kind of go down. Let's start over here. I know, guys, they don't follow the right numbers. We're in the process of renumbering them. So, choose 3. Okay. Yeah, let's do this one. I think we did this one before, but it's good practice. A PM has been assigned to an education project with the objective of training a workforce in application development. One of the deliverables is to provide internships to the best students in the customer's active projects. However, the customer does not have enough projects in progress right now. The project manager decides to create several internal projects in order to ensure internships. Which 3 actions should the project manager take to fulfill the scenario? Okay. So the problem statement here is that I was reading about, wasn't processing it, guys. That's what happened during the actual exam. But the problem statement here, from what I remember, is that you have students or interns that we need to provide them a project, but we don't have enough projects. So what can we do about this scenario? So kind of a little bit of a strange scenario. It has nothing to do with project management necessarily, but let's see what we can do. We don't want to add costs for the customer. So we want to manage the quality of the delivery. Yeah, we want to do that. If we are able to manage the quality of the delivery, we can ensure that the cost stays at a certain level. Influence the client to initiate a new project. We don't want to initiate a new project, right? We said that before, that we don't have enough projects in progress right now. So initiating a new project just for students, just for these students is going to be a big thing. We don't want to do that. Create a work breakdown structure of the new scope with the internal projects. Yeah, that's a good thing, right? Work breakdown structure will break everything down into its subparts so we know exactly what we need to focus on so we don't go above the scope, right? Or we don't go above costs. Use the project's contingency budget. The contingency budget is not for this. Contingency budgets are for events that may occur, like risks. Create a change request with the scope of the new internal projects. Yeah, that's what we're going to have to do as well. If the projects, um, several internal projects, we're going to have to create a change request with the scope of the new internal projects so we can play around with the scope of it. Okay, so those are our three things, A, B, and E, right? Um, so the A, C, oh, sorry, yeah, A, C, and E. That's what we check. Okay, very good. All right, let's see what else there is. Question 46. A company that is heavily focused on delivering projects using a predictive approach onboards a new project manager who uses hybrid approaches. The scope of the project contains a number of unclear requirements. How should the PM plan the delivery of the project? The second part of the question is what we want to focus on. We have a number of unclear requirements. What should we do about them? Wait for the requirements to be more clear. We don't want to wait. The W word, wait, principle number 2, gone. Break down the requirements and prioritize the requirements into iterative work packages. Okay. Okay. Not bad. Ignore the unclear requirements. Obviously not. We don't want to ignore things. Gone. Escalate the issue of unclear requirements to management and wait for final authorization. So we don't want to escalate, nor do we want to wait. B is going to be the best answer just from the process of elimination, right? Pretty simple question. Let us, one really important thing here, break down the requirements and prioritize requirements into iterative work packages. This is something that's used very frequently in predictive. And we're using this part of the question at a company that's heavily focused on predictive, right? So we don't want to start introducing a whole bunch of different things like agile cycles and whatnot. It's going to throw them off. All right, question number 4. Okay, 49 is uh okay. It's WBS. I just saw decompose and I know it's WBS, right? All right, whatever. Bonus question. Decompose. Put this in your mind. Decomposition, WBS. WBS, decomposition. Decomposition, WBS. WBS, decomposition. Right? Easy. If you see the word decomposed or WBS, it's one or the other. Easy question. Great. How many questions do you have left? I'm going to do 5 per domain. So, okay, let's move on to 52. 52 looks a little bit too B. B looks like it's the answer. Let's do 52, right? Principle number 1, we got B, but it could be wrong. Maybe it's a change request. A project team strongly encourages the project manager to purchase an application that will significantly reduce work time. Without the application, the deadline might be missed, but the purchase will impact the project costs. The sponsor would like to explore a less expensive application that will save the team's time. What should the project manager do? It's going to be B. It's going to be B. B is the right answer. Let's see what my key says. C. Interesting. I was thinking C as well. And I'm going to change that. And here's the thing, guys. Here's my logic. You let me know in the comment section. Now, again, I'm looking at these questions for. I've looked at the questions, but we've solved them together. So, if we were just looking, at one device in this case, or one application, right? The purchase will impact the project cost. I would just raise a change request because within the change request process, There is analyze. You analyze what the change is. You want to see if there's actually benefit in it. The sponsor, though, will like to explore less expensive after that will save the team's time. So meaning that we're exploring various different things now. So I'm going to analyze assumptions and constraints first. What are our constraints? What's our budget? What are the features that we need? Once we have that information, and we let's say we we limit it to like 3 devices or 3 applications, then we will then we will raise a change, or we might get to 1 application, then we raise a change request, right? So the best answer here is going to be B. That's the logic behind it. All right, awesome. You guys, let me know in the comments though. Let me know if you agree with me or you don't agree with me. Question 52. All right, this one's a little bit too small. Let's try to get a longer question so we can work on our PMP mindset. Okay, this is a little easy. I think we saw this one too. Oh no, why are the answers popping up? Okay, I'm gonna have to fix that. So, anyways, let's do this one. So, a project manager working with a Scrum team that is continually missing deadlines. The steering committee is concerned about the project that is not clear they will deliver the expected value. After analysis, the PM discovers a mismatch of competence. So, this question is very clear in what the project statement is: a mismatch of competencies in one of the teams, meaning that our team does not know um, what to do. There's a mismatch of there's a knowledge gap. Update the project schedule to reflect the delay. Updating the schedule to reflect the delay means that we have accepted the delay. We never want to do that. And this doesn't solve the core problem. Emphasize the importance of meeting deadlines, not going to solve the core problem. Accept the risk of missing deadlines. We never accept the risk of missing deadlines. Principle number 2. And provide appropriate training. That's the best answer here. Okay. D. We got it. All right. Let us move on to our last section. Business domain. Okay. I don't want to make this video too long, but more practice for you guys so you guys can benefit. Let us start some business domain questions. Okay, this looks like a good question. So, a project manager has been selected to deliver one of an organization's key flagship solutions. Not important. Again, setting up the situation. Critical success factors include agility, market adaptation, and quick response to market offerings. What is one of the key activities the project manager should undertake to ensure company success? Okay, so this is a little bit different from our typical questions that we see. Now, remember, guys, the majority of the exam is still what should the project manager do next, do first. They are introducing some new questions. They're changing it up. Okay, and I really think they're doing this in preparation for the new exam in 2026. They're testing different questions out, and they're seeing what sticks, what doesn't, and they're going to roll out a different version in 2026. Okay, so I just want to prepare you guys as much as possible for that. All right, so what are the key activities that the project manager should undertake to ensure company success? Request more funding from the project sponsors. Huh? We don't want to request more funding, guys. Principle number 2, we don't want to spend more money. Conduct periodical reviews of the project plans, objectives, deliverables to ensure all relevant data are captured to continue making a beautiful answer. Come on. That has to be the answer. Review the project objectives of project sponsor to agree on more realistic and more achievable. Nah. Create a business case after performing a market review and then submit it to the sponsor to modify the product deliverables to meet the newly defined objectives. So we're talking about the entire project, not just the business case. So best answer is going to be B, right? B is going to be the best answer here. Okay, let's look at the answer here. B, right? We're not just talking about the beginning of the project. We're talking about the entirety of the project. Awesome. Oh, I love short questions. When you get a short question on the exam, you just take a nice deep breath and just like, yes, and then you move on. And then you get hit with a super long question, right? 32, a feature has been added to the iteration backlog that has been prioritized by the project sponsor over the critical security patches. What should the project manager do? So this has been prioritized by the sponsor over another priority, right? Give all the work packages parallel priority and continue activities. Push back on the feature because it is not an immediate priority. Okay, I see. So we have a priority that has been prioritized over critical security patch. So critical meaning that, okay, I understand now. Meet with the sponsor, discuss the feature with the product owner. Principle number one, I like that. Perform a risk analysis and meet with the sponsor to discuss it. C and D are both good. But C includes a very important person that we cannot ignore, the product owner. The product owner is responsible for the product backlog. C is going to be the best answer. Okay. Risk analysis can be performed as well, but push back on the feed because I'm meter no. So C is going to be the answer here, right? So some of our answers got mixed up, and we're almost done fixing everything. But C is going to be the best answer. Meet with the project sponsor, discuss the feature with the product owner. Okay. So we're meeting with the sponsor because the sponsor is a part of the situation. We're not escalating anything. We're meeting, and you'll notice that on the exam. You'll notice that when the sponsor is being referred to, it can either be escalate or meet or discuss or something of that sort. If it's escalate, if it's the E word, forget it. It's gone. That's not the answer. Project sponsor on an agile project inform the project lead that an executive would like an update on the project's progress. What should the project lead do? Reach out to the project management office for status report templates and provide project updates in that format. Okay, but why do all that? Provide a link to the project's lead. So A doesn't contradict any principle. So let's just move on. Provide a link to the project's shared drive for the executive to search through for any artifacts that are of interest. So no, right? We should cater towards a need of this person. And if we give someone an entire Google Drive, number one, they might not even find what they need to find. Number two, it might raise more concerns and questions. Ask the sponsor or product owner to provide an update since the project lead should be trying to keep the team free from impediments. Okay. But no, it's the project manager's responsibility. Right? Wait, ask the project sponsor or product owner to provide an update? Okay, I see. Executive would like an update. I thought the project sponsor wanted an update. That wouldn't make sense. Invite executives to a project meeting space to determine if the project information radiators meet their needs. Oh, okay, that beautiful. There we go. We got it. We talked about this, right? So in project information radiators, I don't know why they use this term. Such a strange term. But just think about it. Think about it as like like if you work in the manufacturing industry, right? The manufacturing industry on their shop floor will have like a huge a huge Kanban board. Sorry about that. With a whole bunch of information, like we did this or we have this to do and blah blah blah, a whole bunch of things. That literally is an information radiator. That's an example of it. It radiates information. Such a weird word or weird terminology, but that's what it does. And the answer is going to be D. There we go. All right, let's find a good question to end off. Okay, this looks like a good question. All right, let's do this one. Okay. A project manager joins a team that is providing a customized enterprise resource planning ERP system to a client. A potential design problem is identified by the development team. After reviewing this issue with the project owner and team members all agree to revise the design to avoid a system defect when deployed. The design is already approved. What should the project manager? What should be the project manager's next steps? Okay, so we have a design problem, and they all agree to revise the design, but the design is already approved. So we got an approved design but the team notices a design problem. There's a mistake. There's something wrong with it, but it has been approved. What should we do? Conduct a proof of concept to make sure there are no problems in the revised design. Okay. All right. But we already know that there is a problem. Inform the client of the problem and follow the change request process. Beautiful. Something has been approved. The design being approved means that the scope has been established. Amend the design specification, pass them to the development team. So we got to go through change request process first. Make a change request and get formal approval from the project owner. So we don't just get formal approval from the project owner. We go through the change request process. We have a change control board. We have a whole entire system in place to get that done. Okay, so let's actually go to our cheat sheet term section because this is actually important. And I can show off the course a little bit more, right? So these are the most important terminology you have to know. So you see the process here, change control process. It goes to the CCB, the change control board. They can decide to reject or approve it, right? So important. So where are we? So the best answer here is going to be um, B. Okay, B is going to be the best answer. Awesome. All right, guys. So that is enough questions for today. Again, guys, if you're interested in the course, sign up to it. I promise you won't regret it. And, obviously we can't solve all these questions. I'm going to try to solve as many. And obviously I'm not going to solve everything, but the course is there for you guys. Get PMP certified. If you made it this far in the video, I do want to mention something. I strongly believe in 2026, there's going to be something known as the PM gold rush. Because AI is taking over, jobs are being cut down, people are going to start wondering, what can I get into? PM jobs are the most easiest jobs to get into. So a lot of people are going to rush towards PM jobs. And the PMP at that stage is probably going to be devalued. So get PMP certified now before that rush happens and get that competitive advantage. All right, so enough talking. Take care and have a fantastic rest of the day. I'll see you guys in the next video.